10 little moments that make me smile every day after 75. Asterisk when you reach a certain age, say, somewhere after 75, the world doesn't necessarily slow down for you, but you begin to slow down for the world. And in that slowing, you start to notice things you never truly saw before. I used to think life was all about the big milestones. Graduations, promotions, weddings, first homes, new cars. I chased them all, collected them like shiny trophies on an invisible shelf. I worked hard, I worried harder, and I measured the value of my days by how productive they were, how much I could cross off the list. And then, slowly, without much warning, the list became shorter. The house became quieter, the calendar less crowded. And I had to ask myself, what now? What do you do when your kids are grown, the career's behind you, and your body isn't quite as willing as it used to be? For a while, I thought the answer was to try and stay young, keep busy, keep moving, keep proving I still had it. But that was just noise. And when I finally let the noise settle, something beautiful happened. I started noticing the little things, not the big celebrations, not the 5-year plans. Just small, quiet, daily things that made me smile. I mean really smile. The kind of smile that sneaks up on you, soft and warm, like sunlight on your shoulder. The kind that doesn't ask for attention but gives you everything in return. A laugh from my grandson, a familiar song on the radio, the smell of tomato soup on a rainy day. Things I used to walk right past. Now, these are the moments I live for, not because they're flashy, but because they're true, honest, gentle, and because they remind me that even in the simplest corners of the day, life is still offering little gifts if I'm willing to notice. So if you're here listening, maybe you're in that season too. Or maybe you're just starting to wonder what matters most. Either way, I'd love to take you through 10 of those moments that, no matter how ordinary they seem, bring me joy every single day. After 75, they've become my treasures. And maybe, just maybe, they'll remind you of yours too. Let's begin. There's something sacred about those first few seconds of the day. The moment I open my eyes and see this soft light stretching across the room. It doesn't knock. It doesn't rush in. It tiptoes across my walls like an old friend stopping by just to say, good morning. I used to wake up to alarm clocks, to the blare of urgency, the to-do list already playing in my head before my feet touch the floor. But now, I wake up when my body says it's time, usually with a little stiffness in the knees and a few creaks here and there, but nothing that a good stretch and a deep breath can't soften. What gets me smiling isn't just the light. It's the way it changes every morning. Some days it's golden, like honey spilling across the floorboards. Other days, it's silver and misty, filtered through clouds or rain. But always, it reminds me I'm still here. I've made it to another day. And that's no small thing. I sit up slowly, swing my legs over the side of the bed, and there's a quiet ritual that begins. Curtains half drawn, letting the morning in. A soft pair of slippers, the smell of coffee from the kitchen. A moment at the window, watching the world yawn and stretch outside. That first light is more than light. It's a gentle invitation, not to rush, but to receive. The birds don't hurry. The trees don't panic. And I don't have to either. I let the morning touch my face, and I smile not because something big has happened, but because something small has. And at my age, I've learned that's enough. Let me tell you, there is no music on this earth sweeter than a grandchild's laugh. I mean it. You can take your symphonies, your pop songs, your jazz records. Give me a 3-year-old cackling because I made a silly face over video call. That's the sound I'll choose every time. Some days my phone rings and it's my daughter or son checking in, and I love that. But once in a while, I hear that little voice piping in the background. Is that Grandpa? Or can I say, hi, and then suddenly, the whole day shifts. Sometimes the conversations don't last long. Their attention span dances from me to a toy to the dog and back again in a heartbeat. But it doesn't matter. Because then right in the middle of some half-told story about dinosaurs or snacks or something they saw on a walk, they let out this laugh. Wild, unfiltered, belly deep. Like the world is brand new and everything is funny. And you know what? It is funny, it's delightful, it's ridiculous, and it's contagious. I find myself laughing too, tears welling up in my eyes, not from sadness, not from nostalgia, but from the simple, stunning joy of being remembered, of still being part of their little world. There's a kind of immortality in those moments. I see pieces of myself in their mischief. I hear echoes of my own childhood in their voice. And for a second, I feel young again, not because I've gone back in time, but because time has decided to meet me right here in a child's laugh. On the other end of the line. There's a tree on the corner of my street that I've been walking past for over 30 years. It's nothing exotic, not a cherry blossom or a grand old oak. Just a solid, dependable maple that stands like a quiet neighbor, watching over the sidewalk. When I was younger, I barely noticed it. It was just there, background. But as the years passed, and especially in these later ones, that tree has become a companion. A familiar face in a world that changes faster than I'd like. Every morning, or as many as my knees allow, I make my way down that sidewalk and I pause beneath its branches. In the spring, I notice the first shy buds of green. In summer, the full proud canopy offering me shade. In autumn, the colors, oh the colors, like fire and sunshine dancing together. And in winter, when it stands bare and solemn, I nod to it with respect. We both know a little something about standing through the seasons. It makes me smile, not because it's grand or dramatic, but because it's consistent. In a world that feels so loud and fast and uncertain, this one tree keeps showing up. It grows quietly. It sheds when it needs to. It stands still. And it reminds me to do the same. Sometimes, when I stop beneath its limbs, I whisper a quiet thank you. For its company, for its patience, for being there on days when I needed a little shade from the heat or a little beauty to carry home with me. And I wonder how many people walk past that tree without ever looking up. I did for years, but now I see it. I really see it. And it makes me smile every single time. Because that old tree has taught me something. Sometimes the most ordinary things are quietly extraordinary. All they need is our attention. There's a kind of memory that lives in the nose, have you noticed that? You can forget names, dates, even whole chapters of your life. But then you catch a scent in the air, just a hint of cinnamon, or garlic, or something simmering low, and slow on the stove, and suddenly you're there again. Back in your mother's kitchen, or holding a wooden spoon in a smaller, younger hand, or feeding your own children as they swung their legs at the dinner table. For me, it's soup. Not just any soup, my soup, a tomato basil recipe I've made for decades. Nothing fancy, but it's mine. And when I cook it, the entire house fills with this warm, familiar aroma that makes the walls feel like they're hugging me. I used to make it in big batches back when the house was full, kids running in and out, my husband setting the table, the sound of spoons clinking. These days, it's just me most of the time. And I don't make as much, but I still make it. And I still let the smell fill the house like it always did. It's funny. There are moments when I'm stirring the pot and I swear I hear footsteps coming down the stairs. I know they're not real, but the memory is so vivid that I smile anyway. Because that soup isn't just lunch. It's a time machine, a scrapbook, a gentle, edible reminder that I've lived a full life, fed people I loved, and still get to feed myself with love. And maybe someday, one of my grandkids will make it, and the smell will catch them off guard, and they'll smile too. And maybe, just maybe, they'll remember me, not because I asked them to, but because a pot of soup whispered my name through the steam. There's a special kind of magic that happens when you're not expecting it. You're going about your day, maybe folding laundry, maybe driving home from the store, and then it hits you. That first chord, that opening line, that song you used to dance to barefoot in the living room. Suddenly, you're not 75. You're 23. The windows are open. The summer breeze is in your hair. And someone you once loved is laughing beside you, spinning you around like the world has no edge. That's what old songs do. They don't just play. They transport. I still have an old radio in my kitchen, one of those with a dial that crackles when you turn it. Some people find it annoying. I find it charming. And every now and then, when I'm making tea or putting away the dishes, a song from my past finds its way through the static dot. It could be Sam Cooke, or the Supremes, or something I used to sing along to while driving a station wagon packed with noisy kids, and it always makes me stop just for a second. To hum, to sway, to remember. There's something powerful about not choosing the song, about it choosing you. As if the universe knew you needed that exact melody, that exact memory, at that exact time. So yes, I smile when my song comes on the radio, every time. Not because it makes me feel young, but because it reminds me that I was young. Once, beautifully, fully, messily young. And that's worth smiling about. I know it seems small. A wave, a nod. Maybe a good morning if the weather's good and he's got a minute. But that moment, when the mailman looks up, sees me standing at the porch, and smiles back, that moment makes my whole day. You see, when you're older, people stop seeing you sometimes. Not out of cruelty, just the pace of the world. Everyone's in a rush. Everything's digital. Packages get dropped at doors without so much as a knock. Conversations get replaced by tracking numbers. And the postman, once the daily visitor to every home, has almost become invisible too, but not mine. His name is Mike. He's about my grandson's age. He wears the same sun-faded cap every day and walks with a rhythm that tells me he's got 1,000 stops to make, but he always slows down at mine. He knows I'll be at the window. And when our eyes meet, we both raise a hand. Sometimes he shouts, "Stay cool out there." Or "Soup day today, huh?" Depending on the smells wafting out of my kitchen. It's such a simple thing. A few seconds. A wave. But in that wave is something bigger. It's recognition. It's human contact. It's belonging. And on days when I haven't spoken to anyone yet, that wave is enough. It tells me I still live in this world. I still matter. And that even as the world hurries by, someone out there is still willing to see me, smile at me, remember that I'm here. So yes, I smile when the mailman waves back, and I wave every single time. Because kindness, even in passing, carries more weight than we know, especially at this age, especially in this world. I know it's just a puzzle, black and white squares in the Sunday paper. But I'm telling you, when I fill in that final word, no hints, no peeking, no looking up that one 5-letter word for ancient Greek marketplace, I feel like I've climbed a mountain. Maybe it's silly, but finishing a crossword without cheating is one of those quiet victories that makes me smile in a way nothing else quite does. It's not about proving anything to anyone. At this age, there's no one left keeping score. But it reminds me that my mind still works, that the words are still there, that I haven't lost the sharpness, not completely. I've done crosswords for years. Back when I was working, they were a 5-minute escape during lunch breaks. Later, they were something I did beside my husband on slow afternoons, competing to see who could get the long words first. And now they're a gentle morning ritual with my coffee. Pen in hand, glasses on. A small conversation with memory, wit, and language. Sometimes I get stuck. Of course I do. Sometimes the clues feel like riddles wrapped in fog. But then, A spark comes, a click. That quiet, satisfying moment when the letters fall into place and I whisper, that's it. It's not about speed. It's not even about getting them all right every time. It's about engaging, about trying, about holding on to the pleasure of thinking deeply and laughing at myself when I completely misread something. Finishing a crossword without cheating isn't a grand achievement, but it's mine. And it tells me, even now, there's always something new to figure out, something new to learn. And that's worth smiling about. There's a kind of peace that only comes when your hands are deep in the earth. I never used to be much of a gardener. My husband had the green thumb. I mostly supervised with a glass of lemonade in hand. But after he passed, I found myself out there alone one morning, staring at the weeds, the dry patches, the quiet beds. Something in me stirred not just sadness, but a strange desire to nurture, to grow. So I planted one thing, basil, just to see if I could keep it alive. Then tomatoes, then a small patch of lettuce, then flowers, marigolds, and cosmos, the kind that attract butterflies. And slowly, my backyard became my sanctuary. There's nothing quite like the feeling of cool, damp soil between your fingers. It grounds you literally and spiritually. It's humble work. Kneeling down, digging, tending, but it's alive. It speaks. Plants don't rush, and they don't lie. They grow if they're cared for. They wilt if they're not. Simple truths right there in the dirt. And when a green shoot breaks through after a week of watering and waiting, I smile. I really do, because I made that happen. Not by force, but by patience. And because life, even at this age, still responds to my touch. Some days, the garden is where I cry. Some days, it's where I talk to the people I've lost. But most days, it's where I remember that I'm still connected to life, to cycles, to creation. My hands might be older now, a little slower, but they can still coax beauty from the ground. And that, to me, is joy. We live in a world where people often keep their heads down, eyes on phones, earbuds in, hurrying from one thing to the next. I get it. Everyone has their burdens, their timelines, their worries. But once in a while, something surprising happens. I'll be walking down the grocery aisle or passing someone on the sidewalk, and they'll look up, really look and smile first. And oh, how that changes everything. It's a small, almost invisible exchange. A curve of the lips, a nod, but it's powerful. Because it says, I see you. And for someone my age, being seen by a stranger, not as an old lady in the background, but as a person, means more than you might think when you're young. People smile at you all the time. They flirt, they greet, they acknowledge. But as you get older, the world can start to act like you're fading out. You become part of the scenery. Doors don't always get held. Questions get directed to your children, not to you. It's unintentional, but it stings. So when someone, especially someone younger, smiles at me first, it feels like a soft rebellion against invisibility. It tells me I'm still here. And someone noticed. Sometimes I smile back and strike up a little conversation. Sometimes we just pass by. But no matter what, I carry that moment with me for the rest of the day. It's not the smile itself, it's what it represents. A connection, a flicker of shared humanity in a busy, distracted world. And I try to return the favor. I try to be the one who smiles first too. Because if that little act can make me feel seen, then maybe it can do the same for someone else. And if there's one thing I've learned in these 75+ years, it's that kindness, especially the quiet kind, is never wasted. It might sound strange to some, but one of the things I look forward to most is a rainy afternoon. Not the kind with thunder that rattles the windows, though those have their own drama. I'm talking about the soft kind, the slow, steady tap 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 of rain against the glass, like a lullaby you don't have to understand to love. On days like that, I settle into my favorite chair by the window, the one that creaks just right when I sit down, the one with the view of the backyard and the old fence, and the garden I've come to know like an old friend. There's no television, no music, just the sound of water falling off leaves, off rooftops into puddles. It's not just the rain I'm watching, it's time itself, slowing down, stretching out, asking nothing of me. That chair has held me through many kinds of weather, not just outside, but inside too. I've sat there on days when I was grieving, on days when I was giddy, on days when I felt numb, and days when I felt everything at once. And always, the rain came, not to fix things, just to sit beside me in its own quiet way. Sometimes, as I watch it fall, I let old memories rise. They come softly, like the rain faces, voices, smells, flashes of old kitchens and young children and bare feet on warm floors. And I don't fight them. I let them come. I smile at the ones that make me laugh. I forgive the ones that still ache a little. And I thank them all for showing up, because at this point in life, I don't need noise. I don't need excitement. I need presence, stillness, a reminder that even in the quiet, life is moving, gently, lovingly, persistently. And so I sit, and I watch, and I smile not because the rain is spectacular, but because it teaches me something I wish I'd learned sooner. Peace isn't something you chase, it's something you welcome. People always ask, what's the secret to being happy in old age? They expect something profound. A quote from a wise philosopher, a hard-won lesson wrapped in dramatic stories. But the truth? It's simpler than that. The secret is in that small. It's in that first light that slips through the curtains when you wake up. It's in a grandchild's laugh echoing through a phone. It's in the scent of soup, the familiar embrace of a song, the way your name lives in the memory of a tree you've walked past 1,000 times. It's in the quiet triumph of a crossword puzzle, the dirt under your nails, the smile of a stranger, the rhythm of rain on a window pane. These are not the things you plan for. These are not the moments you put on social media or write down in bold ink. These are the ones that sneak in quietly, day after day, and fill your heart without asking for permission. When I was younger, I thought happiness came from the big stuff, from accomplishments, from going places, proving things, making noise. And don't get me wrong, those things have their place. But now I know that joy lives in the ordinary. And the older I get, the more I realize that the ordinary was never ordinary at all. So if you're listening to this, wherever you are in your life, I hope you don't wait until 75 to start noticing. I hope you let yourself slow down long enough to see what's already around you. Because I promise, there's beauty everywhere, right there in your hands, in your routines, in your breath. And if today feels heavy, if you're searching for meaning or direction, just look smaller, look closer. There's probably something right in front of you, tiny, quiet, and miraculous, waiting to make you smile. It might not seem like much, but it will be everything.